So I watched Nomadland. I let it marinate in me for a day, and now I'm willing to talk about Nomadland and tell you whether all this Oscar buzz is merited or if it's all overrated. So, Nomadland was directed by Chloe Zhao, and it follows Frances McDormand, who plays a woman. She loses her job because of the Great Recession, so she chooses to live a life as an American nomad, sells most of her belongings, and just goes on the road and lives out of her van, out of the bare necessities of life. Wowee, did I just do a Jungle Book reference? The bare necessities of life. No. Alright, I'm gonna stop that. Background on this movie. This movie was a festival darling, and it got picked up by, now I'm not sure if this was back when it was Fox or Disney, but it got picked up by Searchlight. Searchlight is a distributor of independent movies, and Disney, it used to be owned by Fox, but Disney recently acquired Fox, so they've acquired Searchlight. Now, I was under the assumption that Disney kind of wanted to get rid of Searchlight. For all of you film history buffs out there, Disney used to own Miramax, and they later sold Miramax because the margin of profit is very small, and you run the risk of owning some controversial independent movies, just like Miramax used to own the Tarantino films, so that made Disney the owner of the Tarantino films, which kind of tarnishes the beautiful, childlike image of Disney when you have fucking Kill Bill stabbing each other. But anyway, so I'm really surprised that Disney hasn't destroyed Searchlight. At least not yet, or not that I'm aware of. So, a lot of people are saying this movie is the best thing since sliced bread. A lot of people are saying Chloe Zhao is a definite to win the Oscar here. Did I like this movie? Yes. Don't walk away from this review saying that I didn't like this movie. I did like this movie. I think it's a little overhyped, is what I'm saying. There's always that movie, when the Oscar season comes around, there's always that movie and everyone's like, oh my god, it's the Oscar darling. What was it last year? I can't remember. To be honest, I kind of flush out the Oscars from my brain. Movies like Green Book. You know, everyone talked about Green Book, but it's like, who talks about Green Book now? This movie is better than Green Book. But there's always that one, like Boyhood. Boyhood is the prime example, where like people keep like talking, oh, Boyhood. And then you watch and you're like, okay, it's good. But that, to me, was a bit of this movie. Now, this movie had a lot that I liked, but there's a lot that's kind of inflated about this movie. A lot of it, too, this is just the conspiracy theorist in me, okay? Don't get mad, I'm acknowledging that I'm a conspiracy theorist. I'm the film version of Alex Jones right now. But this movie is owned by Disney, and Disney also owns ABC, which has the Oscars. No doubt in my mind, Disney is trying to give that little Oscar push going, trying to get Chloe Zhao to win that Oscar, because you know what? In a few months, her other movie, Chloe Zhao's other movie, The Eternals, Marvel Studios' The Eternals is coming out, and if you can say that the Oscar darling Chloe Zhao directed The Eternals, ooh, that looks good. You get a couple of extra bucks, especially during these difficult COVID times. I don't know, that's the conspiracy theorist in me. Let me be, that's the narrative I have in my head. It's probably flawed, it's probably full of plot holes, I don't give a shit. But what did I like about this movie? Because I did like this movie. This movie feels like a weight being lifted off of you. You kind of want to carry out that lifestyle. It really feels like, you know, when you watch this movie, it's like a breezy piece of Americana. And I was watching this movie with my friend, and she said that it reminded her of some van-dwelling subreddit. I'm not too familiar with it. But it does feel like a very realistic movie, and I think that's where she was getting at. Just like the culture surrounding this lifestyle. I've had problems with movies in the past. Hollywood is getting better now, but I had a problem with movies in the past portraying the American white lower class as a bunch of hicks. That's not the case in this movie. Everyone, despite being from that population, is very well-rounded, very grounded, and very heartwarming in this movie. And a lot of that is due to the fact that Chloe Zhao did something really interesting here. She cast a lot of real-life people, so non-actors, and I think that's something you should give Chloe Zhao props for, and Frances McDormand, because when working with an inexperienced actor, it could be a little difficult. And Frances McDormand is there just to, like, boost them up, just to give them enough stuff to work with. So it really takes a talented actress like Frances McDormand to give these actors material and to riff off of them the way she did. So props on the directing, props on Frances McDormand as an actress. Speaking of Frances McDormand, she's fantastic in this movie. As always, I love Frances McDormand. I think she's a really talented actress. It would be interesting to see her win the Oscar this year because she recently won, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, she did win for 3 Billboards Outside Ebbing, Missouri, which she was also fantastic in. And, yeah, as I said, this movie feels like a weight being lifted off of you. Not just because of the story itself, but just the way the movie is structured. This movie doesn't have a solid through line. It doesn't have a solid plot. But what it is that it kind of feels like people bumping into people coming in and out of other people's lives, and just leaving a little touch on their lives. One such character is the character of Swinky, who I thought stole the show in this movie. She was my favorite performance in this film. Very grounded, natural. I really felt her character. She had so much emotion when she would speak. This movie, as you would expect, also has a lot of brilliant cinematography, beautiful shots of various parts of America. This movie reminded me of another movie, which is Into the Wild, I believe it's called, directed by Sean Penn. Is another movie about, this time, a teenager just trying to let go of life and go on this adventure and leading a more minimalist lifestyle. And I think this movie was better than Into the Wild. I know Into the Wild has kind of grown a cult following as the years went on. I was never that big into that movie, to be honest. I prefer this movie over Into the Wild. Where the problems come for me is the second half of this movie. I like the first half of this movie where you're being introduced to this lifestyle. You're getting used to the way these people are living. I like seeing how Frances McDormand takes a shit. I like seeing how Frances McDormand deals with becoming ill. I like seeing how Frances McDormand deals with various parts of living in a van. The movie kind of stops doing that in the second half and kind of loses focus, in my opinion. Now, this isn't a very focused movie to begin with, just because of the nature of the story. It's just about people bumping into other people. But I feel like it comes to a bit of a halt at the second half of this film. And I feel like if it just continued with that structure of people coming in and out and in and out, and different characters and different lifestyles and stuff like that, and they each have their different thing to say about life, I would have liked that. But I feel like it just halts at a certain point, and then it picks up. This movie is also pretty long. For what the story is, it's a very basic, a very breezy, a very simple story. I don't think it warrants that runtime. I think you can slice it up to a solid 90-minute and it would work as well. Not sure of the runtime of this movie, but I think it was about 2 hours. You could have shaved a bit of runtime off of this movie. That's the main problem I have with this movie. I really, really enjoyed that first half. That first half was so solid. I was really digging it. It's really when it came to that second half, and I'm not going to spoil it, but they settle down at a certain place for a longer time, and it stops being a very nomadic movie, and it becomes very static. So, but other than that, just addressing the whole female director thing, I think it's really important to have female directors, as there should be all voices in filmmaking. The more diverse voices you get, the more diverse film you get. And I'm a fan of diverse film. So whether that be sex, political leanings, sexuality, race, ethnicity, culture. I want to see it all. There's no holds barred to me to who should make a film. Who should make a film? The answer is everyone. Everyone. I want to see every film out there. That's a little the reason why I'm not a fan of Hollywood. Because Hollywood, it's all the same fucking people in the same city. I want to see films come from everywhere. The world is big. I want to see different things. But I'm really, although I didn't really like this movie, I am happy it's getting buzz. It is getting attention. Whether it's for my conspiracy theory reason or not, regardless, I think it's a good thing. So, Nomadland, I do recommend it at the end of the day. I've seen better movies. As far as Oscar contenders, I think Promising Young Woman is a better film, and I think Minari is a better film. But don't take it the wrong way. This is a pretty solid film.